हरि ओम। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री महादुर्गायै नमः। ओम श्री राम रामाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यंकरवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। भवानी शङ्करौ वन्दे श्रद्धाविश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धा स्वान्तस्तमीश्वरं। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेदसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। बुद्धिर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगताम् अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। शङ्करं परमानन्दं ब्रह्मनिष्ठं यतीश्वरं भाष्यभ्रान्तिहरं वन्दे शुद्धज्ञानैकबोधकम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम नमः शिवाय 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 ओम नमः शिवाय। नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम हरि ओम। We shall begin with the Shanti mantra. Om Bhadran Karneभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्ताक्षो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ओम शांति शांति शांति. We shall chant the first mantra of the second chapter and first section. Tadetat satyam यथा सुदीप्तात् पावकात् विस्फुलिङ्गाः सहस्रशः प्रभवन्ते स्वरूपाः तथाक्षराद् विविधाः सौम्यभावाः प्रजायन्ते तत्र चैवापि यन्ति. So from this second chapter, the Upanishad now takes up the topic of Paravidya, in which it reveals the nature of that Brahma. So that Brahma is indicated with respect to this world, and the Brahma is also indicated by itself. So with respect to the world, Brahma is the cause of this world, and by itself it is devoid of all change, all divisions, all qualities, which is indicated as neti neti, not this, not this. So this whole world, when we see, then the very cause of this world is Brahma. With our senses we can see the world, but with the same senses we cannot see Brahma. Brahma has to be understood with the help of our subtle intellect. So Brahma is not only cause of the inert world, but Brahma is the cause of all the beings also. So just as from a blazing fire, so many sparks they are born, and we see them having the same nature as that of fire. But tiny little sparks, many sparks. Similarly, from that Brahma, many sparks like jivas are born, infinite jivas. But their essential nature is Brahma only, and the difference is only with respect to the upadhis. The bodies are different, the minds are different, so they appear to be glowing differently. Just like the sparks, depending on the quality of the fuel, the sparks appear to be glowing differently. But all these sparks are fire only. Similarly, all the jivas are essentially Brahma, but due to their difference in their physical bodies, and because of the difference in their sukshma sharir, they appear to be different. And they exist in that Brahma, and when the upadhis are negated, they again merge back into Brahma only. Just as the sparks of fire exist for some time, and when the fuel is exhausted, the fire just merges into its unmanifest form. Similarly, when the avidya gets negated, the jivas, they attain their oneness with that Brahma, come to understand their oneness with the Brahma. So after revealing the nature of Brahma with respect to the world as the cause of the world, now in the following mantra, the nature of Brahma is indicated by itself. Shankaracharya ji writes in his commentary that Nama Rupa Bija Bhutat Avyakrita Akhyat Swavikara Apekshaya Parad Aksharat Param Yat Sarvopadi Bheda Varjitam Aksharasya Eva Swarupam Akasasya Eva Sarvamurti Varjitam Neti Neti Ityadi Visheshanam Vivaksanaha. That Brahma, which is indicated in the Upanishads as Neti Neti, not this, not this, not this, which is beyond all these names and forms, which is even beyond the Avyakta Prakriti. See, when we talk about the world, we talk about Brahma having that Shakti called Prakriti or Maya, which is also Avyakta. But Brahma is beyond this Maya. Brahma is beyond this Avyakta Maya also. Maya is also indicated as Avyakrita. So Brahma is beyond this Avyakrita Prakriti. So that pure Brahma is indicated in the following mantra. See, just as when we are looking at, let us say, water, we can describe the quality of water. We can also, when the water freezes, it becomes ice. We can describe the quality of ice. The water also appears like snow. We can describe the quality of snow. But if we understand from the knowers of this water, we understand that the cause of water, the very essential nature of water, the essential material of water is hydrogen and oxygen. The nature of hydrogen and oxygen is absolutely different from the nature of water. So from water we understand, we can appreciate that there is a cause called hydrogen and oxygen. Thereafter, we can try to understand the nature of hydrogen and oxygen. If this is understood, then from the world and from the jivas, we understand and appreciate that there is that Brahma, which is the very cause of everything. And thereafter, we have to comprehend that nature of Brahma by itself. So the nature of Brahma by itself is indicated in the following mantra. So let us chant mantra number 2 and try to understand. Okay? Divyo yamurta purushaha sabhahyabhyantaro yajaha aprano yamana shubhraha Yaksharat paratap paraha. Again. Divyo yamurta purushaha. Sabhahyabhyantaro yajaha. Aprano yamanashubhraha. Yaksharat paratap paraha. So what is the nature of that Brahma by itself? So with all these words, that Brahma, the nature of Brahma is indicated. It is said it is divyaha, it is divine. Divyaha, divine. Not anything of the world, something different from the world. Divine. Divyo hi amurtaha. Again, that Brahma is amurtaha, means not having any form. Brahma doesn't have any form. Means it doesn't have any color or any shape or any sound. Doesn't have any form. It is also indicated as Purushaha. Purushaha, we have seen this term before also. Purushaha means that which is Purna, that which is complete. Brahma is complete. Purushaha also means Puri Shayanat, who is present, who is asleep as though in all the bodies. There are these infinite jivas are there, and in this infinite jivas that Brahma is present, is as though asleep in their antakarana. So he is called Purushaha. Sa Bhahyabhyantaro Bhyantaraha. That Brahma is inside and outside of everything. It is present inside everything and outside everything also. He ajaha. Brahma is also ajaha. Ajaha means unborn. Means it is always there. It is not born like things which are born and exist for some time and die. Brahma is not born. So it is called ajaha. Apranaha. In Brahma there are no pranas. Prana is not there. Prana is the Kriya Shakti, because of which all the activities happen in this world. That is the prana, the very force, the power. But Brahma is apranaha. There is no prana in Brahma. He amanaha. There is no mind in Brahma. Mind includes everything. Intellect, chitta, ahankar. All these are not there in Brahma. Shubhraha, it is absolutely pure. He aksharat paratap paraha. And it is also beyond the akshara. Akshara here, the avyakrita, this prakriti. It is even beyond the prakriti. This is the literal meaning of this mantra. We can also now see what Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji has written about this mantra. So Divyaha, Shankaracharya ji says कि द्योतवान स्वयं ज्योतिष्वात, that this Brahma is brilliant, it is self-luminous. Because of the presence of Brahma only, everything seems luminous in this world, bright and brilliant. Even the sun and the moon, they shine because of the brilliance of that Brahma only. But Brahma by itself is self-luminous. We have seen the other mantra also, कि न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चंद्र तारकम नेमा विद्युतो भांति कुतोयमग्निः तमेव भांतम अनुभाति सर्वम तस्य भासा सर्वम idam vibhati. That the sun, the moon, the stars, the fire, electricity cannot illumine that Brahma. But that Brahma is self-luminous, and by its light only everything gets illumined. Everything gets power to see, to know, to appreciate, to understand because of the presence of Brahma. See, all these verses and mantras we can understand when we contemplate and focus our attention on our own inner self. Because this inner self is Brahma only. So I, the Pratyek Atma, is Brahma. So because of the presence of that Pratyek Atma only, the senses have the power to see, to hear, to touch. The mind has got the power to feel, to think. The intellect has got the power to know. But all these are jada, all these are inert. They don't have that power by itself. But that Brahma is self-luminous. Therefore it is indicated as Divya. Also that Divya means Divi va Swatmani Bhavaha Alaukikaha. It is alaukik, beyond this world, and it is established in itself. It doesn't require any other support for its existence. Brahma is established in its own glory in itself. In the world, we see objects exist taking support of some other objects, and ultimately they have to take support of that Brahma. But Brahma itself exists without any support in its own glory. Therefore it is called Divya. So Divyaha, he yasmad amurtaha. Again that Brahma is amurtaha. Amurta means sarva murti varjitaha. Means devoid of all forms. There are no forms. Again, if you shift your attention to yourself when you were asleep, that Sushupta Atma itself is Pratyek Atma, itself is Purusha, itself is Brahma. So what is the color? What was your color when you were asleep? What was your shape? What was your form? There was no form, no color, no shape, no sound. But I existed in my own supreme nature. that is Brahma. Amurti, Amurtaha, no form. We take support of the form to meditate on Brahma. We take support of the form to worship Brahma. But Brahma itself is devoid of all form. When we do upasana, we invoke Brahma in a particular form. We worship him as Ganesha, as Krishna, as Rama. But Brahma by itself is devoid of all form, all name, all colors. So, Amurtaha. Brahma is Purushaha. Purushaha, as I said, Purnaha or Purishayaha va. Purna means it is complete. Means everything is there in Brahma. Brahma is not empty. Brahma is not shunya. Therefore, this vast cosmos has come from that Brahma only. Because it is not empty, it is infinite, having infinite power. Achintya Shakti, unimaginable power, unimaginable potential. Therefore, it is called Purna, complete. Not Shunya, not empty. Purna. And that same Purna Brahma is asleep in us. Means he is present in each one of us as our own inner self, which appears to be awake, which appears to be dreaming, which appears to be asleep. But all this waking, dream and sleep are the conditions of the mind. When the mind and senses are active, we call it waking. When only the mind is active, we call it to dream. When the mind is also not active, we call it that we are asleep. But that Atma is neither awake, nor dreaming, nor asleep. It is all the time existing in the same way. So it is present in everyone. Puri Shayaha. In Bhagavad Gita also Bhagavan says, कि I exist in every being. ईश्वर सर्वभूतानां हृद्देशे अर्जुन तिष्ठति. अहमात्मा गुढ़ाकेशः सर्वभूताशयस्थितः. I am existing in the heart of all beings. So therefore Brahma is called Purushaha. Purush. So Divyo Murta Purushaha Sabhahyabhyantaraha. Again that Brahma is Bahya Abhyantaraha, is present along with everything, existing inside and outside everything. Brahma is present in this world, inside everything, as well as outside everything, as well as along with everything. Saha bahyabhantarena vartata iti. Present everything, present in everything, outside everything, like space. Space is also present in every object. But space is also present outside every object and along with every object. Brahma is subtler than even space. So it is present inside, outside, everything. So he is called Sabhaya Bhantaraha. He Ajaha. Again, Brahma is Ajaha. Ajaha means na jayate, is not born. Na jayate kutaschit swataha anyasya janma nimittasya cha abhavat. Because other than Brahma there is nothing from which Brahma can be born. There is nothing other than Brahma which can be a cause for Brahma's birth. Just like water, if there is air, then bubbles are created in water. Bubbles are born when there is water mixes with air. So yata jal budbuda deva vaivadihi. Or yatha nabas shushira bhedanam ghatadi. Or like the pot is there, and other than that the space is there. So space appears to be broken into so many different parts. So we say space is born as pot space. But when it comes to Brahma, other than Brahma, nothing is there. So there is no birth for Brahma. Therefore, all other modifications are also not there in Brahma. Because only when there is birth, then there is existence, there is growth, there is change, there is decay, then there is death. Asti jayate vardate viparinamate apakshiyate vinashyati. All this vikar, all this modification we see in things which are born. They are born, they exist, they grow, they modify, they decay, and they perish. All these modifications are not there in Brahma. By negating that there is no birth, all the other modifications are also negated. So sarva bhava vikaranam jani moolatvat tat pratishedena sarve pratisiddha bhavanti. Sabhaya bhantaro yajah atah ajarah amritah aksharah dhruvah abhaya ityartah. Therefore, since that Brahma is ajaha, unborn, and present inside, outside, everything, therefore it is free from all modification like old age. Brahma doesn't become old. Time has got no influence on Brahma. All that is created, all that is born, they are influenced by time. Time changes everything. Time modifies everything. Everything is as though controlled by time. But Brahma is beyond this time. Time has got no effect on Brahma. Therefore it is ajaraha. It doesn't become old. Amritaha, it doesn't die. Aksharaha, it doesn't change. Remains same. Dhruvaha, remains same all the time. Abhayaha, free from all fear. Because fear is there only when there is dvaita. There is something else. Brahma is one alone. So there is no fear. Then again, further Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji writes कि यद्यपि देहादि उपाधि भेद दृष्टि नाम अविद्यावशात् देह भेदेषु सप्राणा समना सेन्द्रियः सविषयः इव प्रत्यवभासते तलमलादि मद इव आकाशम तथापि तु स्वतः परमार्थ दृष्टिनाम अप्राणो अविद्यमानः क्रियाशक्ति भेदवान चलनात्मको वायुर्यस्मिन् न साव प्राणः तथा मना अनेक ज्ञान शक्ति भेदवत् संकल्पादि आत्मकं मनः अपि अविद्यमानं यस्मिन् सो अयम अमनाः. Again this Brahma is indicated as apranah, amanah, means in Brahma there is no prana. In Brahma there is no mind. It is devoid of prana, devoid of mind. But we experience prana. Prana is there in us. We see the effect of prana in this world. All the activities which are happening in the world happen because of prana only. All the activities which are happening in this body, in our mind, etc., are happening because of prana. And it is indicated that this world is Brahma, and I am also Brahma. So if prana is there, which is experience, how come in Brahma there is no prana? How come in Brahma there is no mind? So for this we have to understand that there are these two drishti, two ways in which we look. Listen carefully. Two ways in which we look. Shankaracharya ji writes कि देहादि उपाधि भेद दृष्टि अविद्यावशात्. One is the drishti of an ignorant person. We look at this world from the standpoint of an ignorant person, and we can look at this world from the standpoint of a wise person. World remaining same, everything remaining same, there is a drishti called avidya drishti of an ignorant person, and there is the drishti of a wise person. So from the standpoint of an ignorant person, the world is there with so many varieties. All the activities we see in this world, we see the presence of prana also in this world. We see the presence of our mind. We see the presence of prana in us. So this is our direct experience, direct understanding. But this understanding which we have is based on our drishti, vision, which is based on ignorance. So I am looking at this world from the standpoint of my body. So from the body when I look, then everything appears to be different from this body. From the standpoint of my mind I look, then everything appears different from the mind. But the scriptures are trying to give me the drishti of a enlightened person. The scripture is trying to give me the drishti of a person who has gained the knowledge of one's own true self, one who has realized that Brahma. So, from the standpoint of the enlightened person, in Brahma, there are no divisions of any kind. There are no pranas, there is no mind. Okay. To make this more clear, let me give one example which I had given before also. For example, this ink is there in this bottle. Nice blue ink. So in this ink, can you see, what do you see? You see ink. So in this, can you see a poem? Do you see a poem? There is no poem in this. Do you see some story in this? There is no story in it. When you look at this ink, do you feel frightened? Do you feel happy? Do you laugh? Do you feel shocked? No, all these things are not there. But with the same ink, when you write a poem, when you write an article, when you write a story, let us say I write a story with the ink, then when I read the story, it is full of joy. At places it is filled with lot of suspense. You don't know who has killed, who is the murderer. So it's filled with suspense. You start getting lot of clues. And finally you trace the one who has committed that crime. So the story is there filled with lot of characters, suspense, drama, fear, joy, shock. But all these are there where in the story. But what is the essence of that story? What is the material cause? What is the swarupa? The swarup of that story is ink only. It is written in ink. So the story contains ink. The entire story contains ink. But the ink, if you see by itself, there is no story in the ink. There is no joy, there is no sorrow, there is no suspense, there is no drama. It is just plain ink. So, when a poem is there, or a story is there are two ways in which we can look at it. One is just focusing our attention on the effect. Means focusing our attention on the words, on the letters, on the sentences. That is one way of looking at the story. But even when we are, and then we experience all the joys and sorrows. Then somebody comes and tries to give us a different drishti. The person says that behind every letter, behind every word, ink is there. Try to understand that ink. Try to shift your attention from the words, from the letters to the ink. So with lot of effort, I am able to shift my attention from the story, from the words, letters to the ink. And when I focus my attention only on the ink, then I come to know that there are no stories, there are no letters, there are no words. It is just ink. In the same way, I as a jiva, when I look at this world, I see a lot of stories in this world. I see a lot of action, drama, birth, death, fear, greed, passion, pride, anger, jealousies. So many things are there. All these varieties are there. But all these varieties are where? In the expression, in the effect. And we identify with the effect and experience these joys and sorrows as my own. I suffer. I experience pain, fear. And that is called samsara. Then the scriptures come and try to shift my attention with lot of effort. The scripture says, okay, now try to focus your attention on the cause of this world. All that you see is just an effect. It has a cause. That cause doesn't have any qualities of the effect. The effect is changing, the cause is changeless. The effect is inert, the cause is knowledge. The effect is limited, the cause is infinite. So the scriptures shift my attention from the effect to the cause, which is Brahma. With lots and lots of effort and upasana and purification of the mind and constant listening, contemplation, I finally understand that yes, there is this Brahma which is the cause of this world, which doesn't have any of the limitations and impurities of this world, which is absolutely pure. So once we comprehend this, then as a second step, the scriptures tells me that that Brahma which you have understood is yourself. You are that Brahma. So I am shocked. How can I be that Brahma? I am born, I am changing, I am happy, unhappy. He says you are looking at your story. You are not looking at your essence. So shift your attention from all these stories. Shift your attention from all these names and form. And look at that Pratyek Atma, your innermost self. That innermost self is Brahma. And in that innermost self, in that Brahma, there are no stories. There are no pranas. There is no mind. There is no intellect. There are no senses. There are no divisions of any kind. So it is a shift in the vision which we have to acquire. That is our spiritual practice. from an ignorant person's drishti, we have to gain the drishti of an enlightened person. And that is what Shankaracharya ji has written in his commentary. कि यद्यपि देहादि उपाधि भेद दृष्टि नाम, that those who have the drishti of their deha, etc., of the mind, from that standpoint when they look, avidya vashat, out of ignorance when they look, then they see the difference of all bodies. Deha bhedeshu, they see different bodies. And in all these bodies they see the pranas, they see the different minds. So sa pranaha, sa manaha, sendriyaha, they see different senses. Sa vishayaha, they see different objects. Eva pratyava bhasate, so everything appears like that, having some form, having some structure. Just like when we look at the space, when we see the dust and the clouds and the impurities, we assume that Akash has become impure. We superimpose the idea of all these impurities on space. So talamaladi mad iva akasham. Similarly, we superimpose all this idea of impurity of the effect on Brahma. But through constant practice, constant sadhana, when we shift our vision, when we gain that paradigm shift in our thinking and understanding, then we will gain what is called paramartha drishti. So tathapi tu swatah paramartha drishti nam. Shankaracharya ji says ki paramartha drishti nam, those who gain this paramartha drishti, then they don't see any difference. Paramartha drishti nam apranaha, then they come to know that Brahma is apranaha. There is no prana in Brahma. Avidyamanaha, kriya shakti bhedavan. This kriya shakti called prana is not there in Brahma. Chalanatmakaha, which is of the nature of movement. Vayur asminnasau apranaha. This chalanatmak prana is not there in Brahma. Again, in that Brahma, the mind is not there. Tatha mana amanaha aneka jnana shakti bhedavat sankalpadi atmakam manaha api avidyamanam yasmin. So I am amanaha. So that mind is also not there in that Brahma. So this paradigm shift is what is to be achieved in order to comprehend this Brahma. Therefore, it is called apranaha, amanaha. But at the same time, all this prana, mana, world, everything has come from Brahma only. The whole story has come from the ink. But in the ink, there is no story. There are no words. There are no sentences. There are no paragraphs. There are no divisions of any kind. So understand yourself as the ink, not yourself as a particular word or a sentence or a paragraph. You are not a paragraph. You are not a sentence. Whether it is good or bad, you are the ink. Understand yourself as ink and gain abidance in that ink. So aprano hi amanaha cha iti pranadi vayu bhedaha karmendriyani tad vishayascha tatha cha buddhi manasi buddhi indriyani tad vishayascha pratisiddha veditavyaha. So all these are negated in that Brahma, the prana, the mana, the buddhi, indriyas. In Brahma they are not there. Brahma alone appear to be having all this, but in itself it doesn't have anything. When we write a story with the ink appears to have a story. The ink appears to have all these qualities like suspense, drama, comedy, tragedy. But by itself, all these are not there in the ink. The Upanishad also says about this Brahma, Dhyayati iva, Lelayati iva. The Brahma appears to be meditating when we see it or see it through the mind, through the intellect. It appears to be moving when we see the movement of the body, but by itself it doesn't move. Further, it says, कि यस्माच्च एवं प्रतिसिद्ध उपाधि द्वय तस्मात् शुभ्रः. Because all these upadhis are not there in Brahma, the pranas are not there, the mind is not there, therefore the Brahma is shubhrah, absolutely pure. Ataha aksharat nama rupa bija upadhi lakshita swarupat sarva karya karana bijatvena upalakshyamanattvat param. Therefore this Brahma is beyond this akshara, what you call avyakta prakriti or maya. It is beyond this maya, beyond prakriti. So tad upadhi lakshanam avyakritakhyam aksharam sarvam vikarebhya tasmat paratah aksharat parah nirupadhikah purusha ityartah. So it is devoid of all upadhis. There is no gross upadhi in Brahma. There are no subtle upadhis in Brahma. There are no causal upadhis in Brahma. Brahma is pure, nirupadhik. So that Brahma is indicated in this mantra. Okay, so you listen to this pravachan again, contemplate on it, think about it, and try to shift your paradigm, your way of seeing and thinking, your vision. If we maintain our viewpoint of ignorance, then whatever is taught and whatever is understood will be defective only. But if we change our viewpoint, then everything will become absolutely clear. So listen to it again, think. So we will see more about this in our next class. So next class will be on Thursday. Tomorrow we will have our Sundarkand session. So till then you take care, be happy, safe, peaceful, healthy, do your work, do your sadhana. Listen to the pravachan again. Because I want you to understand it, comprehend it. Then there will be great joy and you will benefit. So our understanding this Brahma itself is our sadhana. Okay? So more about this we will see in our next class, and we will meet again tomorrow for Sundarkand. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Jaya Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. Boliye Siyavar Ramachandra Bhagwan ki Jai. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.